Wait a minute, did she hallucinate this dude before she shot? Because that opens up a can of worms. If she thought she was shooting turkeys, this shot is awful. If she thought she was shooting at this dude, she's awful.
It's extremely obvious that Katniss didn't hallucinate this guy before she shot the arrow. That's literally why she immediately looks shocked and freaks out, because he essentially came out of nowhere. And I think the arrow was actually aiming towards the turkey, but she still missed. The fact that it aimed higher to hit him is a part of her hallucination, I'm guessing.
Hero in the sequel has PTSD about the events in the previous film cliché.
Even if it is a cliche, it's a really good one. Like, seriously, think about it. Katniss was only 16 years old when she volunteered to go into the games, and she had to kill literal children. It makes way too much sense for her to have PTSD. Also, the fact that you're labeling this as a cliche implies that the movie shouldn't have done this. But it would be extremely unrealistic if Katniss just immediately got over all of those dead kids. So this is the movie being realistic, which is what you ask movies to be anyway.
How do the companies that create these video displays stay in business? This picture is awful, and it looks way less convenient than technology we currently have today. Hey, I want a video playing device that has a transparent image so I can also look behind it while I watch it.
The best way to explain this, Sin, is that this movie's technology is simply different from ours, which I think makes sense.
Convoluted plot development has the president of the entire society forcing Katniss to pretend to be in love just to serve this weak-ass love triangle that was weak-ass already in the first f***ing movie.
What? First of all, how is this plot convoluted? Katniss outsmarted the games in the last movie by threatening to commit suicide along with Peeta, and this proved to Panem that the Capitol's rules can be ignored. Snow is afraid that this will start an uprising, so he wants Katniss and Peeta to prove that they're super in love with each other, and that would explain why they wanted to eat the berries, literally Romeo and Juliet style. And second of all, how is this love triangle weak? You didn't really explain why in the original video. Heck, when you rescind the first movie 8 years later, you didn't even explain it then.
Oh yeah, apparently everything in this society is videotaped. Probably mentioned in the book somewhere, but it sure as surprised me.
Okay, since you believe books don't matter, let's just focus on the movie. The film itself is establishing right now that everything is videotaped. And also, even the book doesn't really explain how or why Snow had a camera to film Katniss and Gale's kiss, but that's part of what makes it scary. This is meant to intimidate her and further pressure her into needing to convince Snow that she truly loves Peeta.
Answer me this, assholes. Why the f*** do they need cameras right outside her door if they can just pull up high-definition video of her randomly kissing in an alley any old time they want?
Because this is just meant to build up the tour that they're about to go on.
All you need to do is give a few speeches, wave to the crowds.
Alright, 14 minutes in and they're about to do what we came to see. Speeches and waving.
Well, that's what the book readers came to see, since they knew this was coming. But also, did you really expect the movie to just jump right into the Hunger Games 14 minutes in? Wouldn't you have seen the movie for being rushed?
I said, enjoy it, Katniss. You've earned it. By killing people.
If I recall, you barely killed anyone in the last movie. You nearly got through the whole thing without having to do it once. And one of the bad guys conveniently killed your new friend Whoo for you. And Peeta didn't kill anyone that I recall. He was too busy camouflaging himself to look like a tree to kill anyone.
Let's just count how many people Katniss killed, shall we? First, she cut that branch with the tracker jackers, which killed Glimmer, the girl who was carrying the bow and arrow for her. Second, Marvel killed Rue, and Katniss shot an arrow into his chest. Third, Peeta knocked Cato off the cornucopia where the canine mutants were, and Katniss mercy shot him. Which, by the way, I think that counts as a kill for Peeta, even if it wasn't direct. So Katniss killed a total of 3 people. And besides, every single victor has to go through this tour, and all the previous ones most certainly killed people as well. So I think her point still stands.
I'm really not in the mood for a lecture. I'll apologize to Effie later. Here, Haymitch.
You might have been expecting a lecture, but would it have hurt you to make the tiniest of glances in that direction to make sure it was him before you started ranting?
I mean, it didn't seem like she was in a good mood.
See, Katniss, the way the whole friend thing works is you have to tell each other the deep stuff.
See, I said the exact same sentence to a girl once, but I swapped the word give instead of tell. It was not well received.
I wonder why.
Green. What's yours?
Later on, when this movie is over and you realize it's f***ing 2.5 hours long, the scene about the favorite colors begins to feel less and less important.
But it is important. It's meant to build up Katniss and Peeta's romance even further, which sets up Katniss's desire to save Peeta in the Quarter Quell. And wait, didn't you earlier say their romance was weak in the first movie? Isn't this scene doing exactly what you wanted the first movie to do?
Putting away script to say something heartfelt cliche.
Again, you saying the word cliche makes it sound like movies should stop doing it, but this kind of scene still works in this context, and I'm sure other movies that have done it work too. Iron Man, for example. So, how about you actually watch what the movie does with the cliche before you criticize it?
These people still have no idea how to properly flip someone off.
Oh, you're bringing back that joke? And you're saying this as if they're flipping off Katniss, but they're not. You skipped her speech where she talked about how much Rue meant to her, so this is meant to be an appreciation of her kind words.
Shouldn't President Snow be able to watch and listen to this conversation with his omniscient cameras?
Another scene manipulation. You cut out the scene that showed them walking up the stairs into the attic specifically to avoid the cameras.
He's worried about rebellion in the districts. He thinks that they don't believe our love story.
You know, Candace, you should have told me that before I went out there and tried to give these people their money.
Dude, you went off script, remember?
But that's exactly his point. If Katniss had told him, he wouldn't have offered to give District 11 their winnings.
Also, what does any of this have to do with making the people believe you guys are madly in love? The guy got killed because he did the Mockingjay thing while Katniss gave her Rulogy.
Peeta made a heartfelt speech by offering to give District 11 their winnings, so Katniss felt like she had to do something similar by giving her condolences to Thresh and Rue's family. If they both do this, then that means they must be on the same page and in love.
What about them? Who protects them?
Haymitch suddenly cares about non-Haymitch people.
You're saying this in the same movie that reveals he is working for the rebellion at the very end. So, yeah, he cares.
Candace, what were you thinking?
It sounded like she was paying tribute to Rue. Didn't Effie say it was customary to give eulogies? Even if Katniss and Peeta had made out on stage, wouldn't the eulogy part still have potentially led to that guy getting shot, even if they were reading off cards? I am f***ing confused.
I don't doubt that. The cards just meant to say, we feel bad for you, but suck it up. Katniss wasn't meant to explain what Rue meant to her. That's why the old guy got shot, because she expressed her true feelings.
Peeta, will you stay with me?
Ah, geez, she's not actually gonna fall in love with him now, is she?
What's your point? Are you setting the movie for this romance being in fact real? Can you explain why that's a problem?
Instead of being in love, you two sound like you're reciting from a drilling manual.
You guys are still going with the we've got to show them how much in love we are angle? After all you've seen, does that shit really matter?
Yeah, it matters. Did you not pay attention to the scene where Snow threatened her? If they don't convince him that they're in love, Snow will kill them and everyone they love.
You could get married.
All these people are rioting because they live lives, and they don't like that their young people are thrown into a battle royale every year. You think a marriage is going to make them forget that?
Probably not, but it could theoretically convince everyone that their romance is real and the berries weren't pulled out because they were intentionally overriding the rules.
This isn't some creepy Capitol guy touching Katniss. This is some creepy extra touching Jennifer Lawrence.
Pointing things out on the screen cliche.
What's this?
It's for when you're full.
It makes you sick. So you can go on eating.
How else could you taste everything?
Wow, a society that's racist, classist, and bulimic.
That's kind of why they're bad and why they should be overthrown.
Philip Seymour Hoffman is in a movie that is beneath him in this scene.
That sounds like you're saying this movie is bad, which if that's true, then I think you've got some angry fans coming at you.
But maybe if we got away from here, if we went somewhere safe, it could be different.
Or maybe President Snow is recording this conversation and you're giving away your entire plans, you forgetful, stupid person.
But this is in the middle of the woods where cameras wouldn't likely be there to record.
I'm trying to figure out whether this is brave or stupid. I mean, maybe Gale thinks he'll be a martyr or something, but he really doesn't seem to have much of a plan before tackling this guy.
That's kind of the point. He didn't think this through. He saw a woman getting beaten up and decided to act in the moment.
You recognize her? Katniss Everdeen?
Fucking seriously?
Again, what's the sin here? The fact that Thread lets Katniss go because of who she is? She's a victor, and victors are meant to be alive so they can train the next tribute, so he'd get in trouble. What about this doesn't make sense?
Get him more snow.
Man, they would have been fucked if Gale had gotten himself whipped in the summertime.
You're right. So why is that a sin of the movie?
The male and female tributes are to be reaped from the existing pool of victors in each district.
I take it from the reaction that this is the wrinkle Plutarch was talking about, and it was unexpected. But what were the rules of the other Quarter Quells? The movie sure as hell isn't telling you that.
And this is why the books freaking matter, dude. Because the book explains this information. And I understand why the movie cut it, because it's not really important for the story. Anyway, in the first quarter quell, they forced the districts to vote for the tribute instead of reaping them. In the second one, they reaped double the amount from each district. This just so happened to be the same game that Haymitch won, and we're even getting a book and movie around that. By the way Haymitch kills the last tribute was really freaking cool, and I can't wait to see that on screen.
47 minutes in and we're still just setting shit up here.
This scene is Katniss freaking out because she knows that she'll be forced to go back into the arena. What about this is a setup?
Peeta has to survive. We have to do whatever it takes to save him.
What? Since when is Peeta Neo? Why is he the one that obviously needs saving?
Because Katniss loves him. She doesn't want him to die. She'd literally be okay with her dying instead of him.
If they call his name, I'll volunteer in his place.
But that isn't how this quarter quell should work at all. How can you have an all-star edition of the Hunger Games but still leave the volunteering intact? I know they just want Katniss in the games and they know no one can volunteer for her, but with such a small pool of contestants, leaving that rule in is dumb.
Why? I genuinely don't see why the volunteering rule wouldn't be there. You even admit no one can volunteer in Katniss's place, so this doesn't matter. As long as she's in the arena where she'll most likely die, this option doesn't need to change.
We should have gone when you said.
What a dick.
But Gale was the one who said no, so he's basically apologizing right now, especially since this could potentially be their last meeting together.
The last time we saw people do this three-finger flip-off salute, a dude got shot in the head for it, and people died. But this time, f*** it. We got these games, so we're fine with letting people rebel now.
When it happened in District 11, it was because Katniss basically incited a rebellion. In this case, they're just saying good luck to the tributes. That's exactly what happened in the last movie when Katniss volunteered in Prim's place.
But this year you'll be facing other victors, and they all know one another.
Why is that? We saw Katniss and Peeta went back to live in District 12 after they won, except for the victory tour, which was a whopping 12 days, so when did the victors from the previous games have time to spend with other previous year's victors to get to know one another? Do they have conventions, like, annually, and Katniss and Peeta just haven't been victors long enough for this year's convention to occur?
When a tribute wins and becomes victor, he or she is forced to train the next tribute, which is exactly what Haymitch is here for. So all the victors got along during that time. That's why Katniss and Peeta didn't get to know them, because they never became trainers.
You go it alone, their first move is going to be to hunt you down.
I don't know what Haymitch expects here. Katniss can't even make the relationship between she and Peeta believable. How's she going to win friends with all the other killers who are already friends with each other?
Watch the scene in the training ground where Katniss befriends Beetee, Wyrus, and Mags. You'll see how.
Did they all continue a rigorous workout regimen after they won? Did not a single previous victor ever have the moral quandary about winning that Katniss and Peeta have? Did more than 5 seconds of thought go into the plot of this movie?
I'm not even sure 5 seconds of thought went into the writing of this CinemaSins script.
The Morphlings, masters of camouflage.
Does every district have a male and female winner from different years to even go to this? Because I'm calling bullshit on that. Wouldn't there be districts that don't even have any victors?
This is the 75th games. That means there were 74 previous ones. Yeah, I think it's extremely likely every single district would have a few tributes.
But I would love to borrow that outfit someday.
Katniss doesn't borrow that outfit right now.
Yeah, that's why she said someday and not right now.
Oh, I see they spent a good portion of the bigger sequel budget on the fire effects. Still not enough though.
Just like last time, this fire isn't even real in universe.
From District 11.
This is what any of us would want to do upon meeting Jennifer Lawrence, but actually doing it? That's a sin, man. Not cool.
Which is why Katniss gives a disapproving look, showing the movie is aware this was wrong.
Cameraman forgets to pan down.
This might be the creepiest sin since you asked for Mission Impossible 2 to look at Tandy Newton's naked body.
Isn't Peeta gonna brush up on his cake decorating?
Who's to say he isn't? And wouldn't he be more focused on making friends?
What's the point of the individual evaluations? Are these people not all already cleared for the game simply by being chosen? Are they going to disqualify you if the talent portion of your program isn't satisfying to them? I mean, someone painted a picture on the floor here as their skill. That old-ass lady did something, God knows what, maybe hugging. But is there really anything on the line here? Do they have another female former victor that can take Katniss's place if she somehow flunks this f***ing evaluation?
I'm pretty sure the last movie explained this, but this is meant to give the game makers an idea on what the tribute's strengths are so they can score them, bet on them, and give the sponsors motivation to want to send them gifts during the games. If they fail, they'll get a bad score and most likely die in the arena.
All the other tributes use words to try and win over the sponsors, but Katniss's only weapon is fashion.
Well, she's not really that good with words anyway.
So even the psychopaths in this group don't want these games to happen?
Yeah? Did you miss this scene that very much showed this?
These victors are angry, Katniss. They'll say anything to try and stop the games.
We're not going by choice. You are our family. And I don't see how anyone can love us better.
I don't know who we will miss more, you or your brain.
The Quarter Crow were written into law by men. Certainly it can be unwritten.
I understand that you have a message for somebody out there, a special somebody.
My love, you have my heart for all eternity. And if I die in that arena, my last thought will be of your lips.
Well, yes, I'm angry. You know, I'm getting totally screwed over here. The deal was that if I win the Hunger Games, I get to live the rest of my life in peace. But now, you want to kill me again. Well, you know what?
Right then.
Why does the fashion designer go with the tribute when they're about to get thrown into the games? Who does PETA have escorting him? It's not Effie.
PETA has a woman named Portia, who is his clothes designer.
The more allies she betrays, the more friends she kills, the more she reveals her true self.
Why is President Snow even buying this? Katniss is not a real killer, and the last games proved that.
Did you not see me disprove that point earlier? She killed 3 kids last time.
It takes 83 minutes for the actual Hunger Games to begin in the second Hunger Games movie.
Although this movie is called Hunger Games, that's not entirely what this franchise is about. The subtitle is Catching Fire. That is a reference to the rebellion catching on and sets up the next 2 films where they rise up against the Capitol. The previous 80 minutes were setting up both the games and the rebellion. And it's also there for character development, which is important to help us care about what's happening.
How did PETA win? Did he choke that dude to death underneath the water after that dude pulled him down? That was f***ing quick for a guy who's never killed anyone before.
Again, I'm pretty sure Kato counts as someone PETA killed.
Unnecessary tension over whether PETA might die when we all know that if he dies, it won't be because he hacked a force field with a sword.
This isn't just a, oh no, is PETA okay scene. It's also meant to build trust with Finnick.
Stupid Pan Am game maker programs Colorful Lizard into the game arena just so the director can have this fun little establishing shot.
Jeremy points things out on the screen, cliche.
Here are all those people we didn't have time to give a shit about.
I'm not repeating myself from the last video. We weren't supposed to care about them anyway. Let's move on.
What is it?
I think it's a spile.
I guess Haymitch can't write on the note what the gift is. She's got to guess.
Katniss knows what this is because she used one once with her father before he died. I'm sure Haymitch knows about that and figured that Katniss could figure it out.
Cheating.
How is this cheating?
Magical Hill comes up out of nowhere to help them fall to safety.
Magical Hill? Are you suggesting forests don't have hills?
Now the fog is disappearing altogether. We learn later it's because each threat is contained to its own quadrant, but that's really f***ing stupid. How can you have tributes running through an invisible force field that somehow contains fog?
This movie has incredible technology that is more advanced than ours in the early 21st century. I'm sure they have a way to do this.
Magical water comes out of nowhere to help wash off the poison.
A pond in the middle of a forest is magical? I'm starting to wonder if you know what that word means.
Clever application of the monkeys hate saltwater science fact, which everyone knows.
You earlier said that you're aware that each trap is contained in its own area with the fog, so why are you now pretending to not know that with the monkeys?
See anything?
These freaking idiots immediately start ignoring the genius who helped them figure out the clock thing, even though she's still clearly rambling important things.
She's literally just singing, and Katniss already figured out what she was saying.
Oh, come on. You know for a fact that's not Prim. I mean, seriously, come on.
It's called Panic. The fact that she heard Prim's voice brings up the implication that maybe the Capitol captured her and is keeping her in the arena. The voice sounds exactly like her, so Katniss thinks that might be a possibility. Like, if you heard someone you loved was in this place, would you immediately assume it was a bird copying his or her voice? No, you'd want to know if they're okay.
they might have been better off just leaving the fire effect shitty and giving the extra CGI budget to these jabberjays.
They look alright to me.
Because gravity.
It's called fiction.
The plan was always to get you out.
And put you in the most difficult arena in the history of the Hunger Games to accomplish that plan. Also, what was the plan before Katniss shot the dome with her electric arrow? Sure, they cut out her tracker, but everything is televised. You know, nothing is secret. How are they going to accomplish all of this without Katniss doing what she did?
Beetee attempted to destroy the force field himself, but failed. Katniss figured out what he was doing, and so did it herself.
I got him out in time. Gale tells Katniss he got them out in time, so she has to figure out what the hell he meant by that.
Which would you rather hear first? Your entire home being burned to the ground, which makes you wonder if your family died there, or your family is safe, so you at least have some sort of comfort before you hear the devastating news? I think the answer is obvious.
Okay, so there's no more District 12, lots of stuff hanging in the air, and you won't be able to see what happens until next year, when we deliver you The Hunger Games Mockingjay. Part 1. Oh, and by the way, f*** you.
Now you're sitting the movie for ending on a cliffhanger? What's wrong with that? Empire Strikes Back did that too, and everyone still loves that movie. Heck, the first 2 Lord of the Rings movies did that, and no one seems to care. In fact, I think the movie did an excellent job on giving us so much to hang on to, getting you excited to see the next movie. Which I definitely am. Excited to tear your Mockingjay videos apart.
Are you coming to the tree?